Hey everybody, Mr. Malmy here, Malmy Studios. So, we did a video a couple weeks back of vacuum forming the Scare Glow mask. It's scary, it glows, you know, that type of thing. So, we did that video, and when we vacuum formed this mask, we did it on an industrial strength vacuum former. I know that not everybody has an industrial strength vacuum former. I know that everybody has zero vacuum formers at all. But I kind of wanted to walk you through the process of making your own vacuum former. I'm not going to do the hokey pokey. I'm not going to turn myself around. I'm not going to show you the electrical. I'm not the best electrician. I am qualified to do what I did, and I will show it to you, but I'm not going to walk you through that process. I'll walk you through the vacuum box, what we did there, how we got to where we're at, and I'll walk you through what we did to get the heating source. This is not my first vacuum form machine I've made. I have tried a lot of heating sources, and for the small scale mask that we do here, I think this works pretty well. So without further ado, let's get to it. So here's just a simple box. It's got 4 sides. It's about 2 foot tall. It's got 1 foot supporter legs on it. You can see the cord coming out of the back there. This is the box that I chose to make for this particular vacuum form machine. And this will be the box that the heating element is placed in. So here's what we did. We took 6 porcelain light fixtures and we just daisy chained them together. We wired them up. We wired them to a cord right there. We wired them to a switch right there. Then we brought the cord out the back. Pretty simple electrical wiring. Anyone on YouTube can show you how to do that. I'm just not going to walk you through that part of the process. So let me flip this thing over and I'll show you the inside of it. So I flipped the box over and I just kind of wanted to show you the very simple features it has on it. It's 1/2 inch. It is lined with sheet metal. I'll tell you why here shortly. And it does have a switch just for easy on, easy off. Now, I've got 8 250 watt infrared bulbs in there. Infrared heat seems to work the best for me. I know some people use the oven, some people use infrared grill parts, some people use space heaters. This just happens to be what works the best for me. Kind of show you what it looks like. Go down here, flip on the switch. There she is, all glowing and whatnot. It does put out a considerable amount of heat. I did line it with sheet metal. The reason I did this is both to help conduct the heat and the reflection of the infrared waves. I am going to put a small lip around here just to help support the frame that holds the plastic, but I'm not worried about that for this video. I just wanted to show you the simple construction of it. You can see all the way down to the ground there. I left it open. The reason I left it open is so that cool air can get up in there as well. It helps cool down the bulbs faster, and it keeps all that heat from being inside here and setting the place on fire. This does not seem to get warm unless you're leaving it on. I would suggest turning it on, letting the plastic drape, turning it off, and then vacuum forming it. All right, next we're gonna go see the vacuum box. The vacuum box is very simple. You really don't need that much. You don't need that much room in it. All it has to do is disperse the air. Actually, the more room you have in it, the more air you lose. So the shallower it is, the better. I used about inch and a half boards here. What you do is you start with the bottom. Again, 1/2 inch plywood. I did 2 supporters. The reason I have these supporters is to get it up off the ground for the vacuum hose. This is a flange. It's a 2-inch flange, and it's tied to a 2-inch elbow, which goes into my 2 1/4 inch shop vac hose, which you can get anywhere. There's my shop vac. I already had the shop vac, so I did not buy it for this process. A lot of the wood and stuff I had, and I did not buy for this process, but I'm guessing you could make one of these for around $150. So after you build your base and your stands, I would put your boards on. And all these are doing, is getting you up off the base and spreading out for your top to fit on. This would also be the size of what you can vacuum form. Mine is about 18 by 20. That's the size I need for what I do. Here's the hole in the base that leads to the flange, that leads to the elbow, that leads to the hose, that leads to the vacuum. This is all pretty simple. I put these 2 blockers in here for support to make sure that my 1/4 inch plywood that goes on top of this doesn't sink in. So what I do, oh, and another thing that I should note is this. The reason I decided to go with this instead of siliconing the box like I did here is because I want to be able to change my tops out. All right, and that's the last one. I only put 8 in. I did consider putting them in here too, but again, I did want to change the box and I didn't want it to take that long to be able to change it. I don't know that I'll change the box at this point. Kind of have to decide. You can see that this did have something on it. And if you look over here, I do have another box that's exactly the same size, that fits in exactly the same place to make sure that it goes on. So with the top, the best thing that I found is to put a hole in the center of it and then attach your mold from the back, but you have to make sure that you put washers on. What the washers do is that the washers create spacing between your mold, 3D printed mold, and your top. Kind of see the spacing there. What that does is it keeps you from having to put a bunch of holes in this. You don't really need a bunch of holes. What you need is the vacuum to be able to pull through and seal. With this, I found that the vacuum will pull down, but it won't suck in. So you don't have to worry about all the holes that everybody usually puts in there. The more holes you have, the more chance you have to lose your air. And the more air you lose, the less likely you are to get a good pull. All right, next I'll show you the frame. All right, everybody, here's the frame. Very simple. It's got hinges in the back. It opens towards you. Again, just 1/2 inch plywood. All it has to do is hold the plastic. And then I did put these on here both for support and to make sure that my frame would stand up off the ground to keep my plastic from getting dirty. As I stated before, the frame will go over the box. It will sit on these supports, and as you can see, the frame that the plastic goes in is actually lower than the top of your box. that will create a good seal for you. The plastic will wrap around and pull and seal, and you won't have to worry about anything. What we'll do is we'll throw a piece of plastic in there and we'll get it on the former. All right, so we got our plastic, and what we're using is 1/16 inch high impact polystyrene. I chose this because it forms easy, it pulls easy, it's easy to get, it's not expensive, it's a decent plastic. So all we do is we open our frame, line our plastic up. Over here, I will be putting grip tape. The grip tape just helps hold the plastic in. If your frame starts to break down or if you have too big of a pull, it really helps. It keeps your plastic from moving around. So you put the plastic in, you close the frame, get yourself some binder clips, lock it down. There you go. All right, once you got it locked down, you bring it over here. Set it on your box. Turn her on. As you can see in there, you can see the lights working. So it doesn't usually take too long for this to start to what we call draping. You can kind of see the wrinkles in it. The plastic will be hot. So what the draping will do is it'll wrinkle, it'll flatten back out, and then it'll start to drape down. As for draping, you want to drape it about as much as your mold. So he is about, get our handy dandy tape measure here. He's about 3 inches tall. So what we want to do is we want to let this plastic drape down about 3 inches. The reason you want to do that is to make sure that you have enough plastic to pull. As you can see, it hasn't started to drape just yet. It does take a couple minutes. And then what we'll do, once it starts draping, is we'll take it over and we'll put it on the vacuum form machine over there. I don't know how good this is showing you, but if you can see up here and here, you can see that our plastic is really starting to drape. I'm sorry that the video is not showing you much of it. That's because of how bright it is in there. But once we get a really good drape, you can see it here. Once we get a really good drape, we will form it. All right, it's draped pretty good and it's ready. What you want to do is just put it over, make sure it's locked down and sitting on your supports, turn on your vacuum. The reason these didn't actually come out perfect is due to the fact that there's not any holes in there for the vacuum to suck down in. If there was holes in the corners of these mouths that went down into the vacuum, you really would have seen that pull down. But for all intents and purposes of showing you guys, there'll be an eye hole here, be an eye hole here. Turned out pretty cool. All right, well, hope you guys learned a few things. And that's all for me here from Maumee Studios. Until next time, keep scaring and keep glowing.